We all have choices in this life, right? Whether they're good or bad, every choice has a consequence. I believe what we're seeing in America today is the consequences of our actions in real time. Now, I've made mistakes in my life that I've had to pay for. I've made some mistakes in my life that I didn't have to pay for. The bottom line is, it rains on the just and the unjust all the same.
Hey, boss, he ain't working.
Bovino, Commander at Large for CBP Assets here in Minneapolis. I'd like to take a few moments here before we take questions and before I hear from my colleague, Mr. Marcos Charles, to talk about a subject that I think is very important given the events over the past couple of days. And that topic is the topic of choices. Choices. Now, choosing or making a choice is one of the only true freedoms that any of us really have, is to make a choice. Whether that's the choice to be here today as the media, the choice to go to school, join the military, join law enforcement. Making a choice is a freedom that resides within us. Now, good choices are important in life, as we all know. And many actions that take place are due to our choices. The choice to, say, cross the border illegally, that is a choice that someone makes. To cross the border illegally, that's a choice. The choice not to utilize the CBP Home app, that's a choice. Not standing in line and doing it the right way, that is a choice. And there are always actions that result from our choices. When you choose to use your 5-year-old child as a shield to evade law enforcement, that is a choice that someone makes. And there are actions and consequences that result from that choice. Or when you're a politician or a community leader, you make a lot of choices there, some very important, wide-ranging, and in-depth choices. When, as a politician, if you choose collusion and corruption as a choice, then there are consequences and actions that take place because of that. That's one reason the U.S. Border Patrol and ICE are here in Minneapolis by the thousands, is because of those choices. When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo, or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made. There are actions and consequences that come from those choices. And then when you choose, when someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday. And those actions and choices can obviously have tragic consequences, bad outcomes, outcomes that law enforcement never wants to see. Law enforcement never wants.
And I think Greg Bovino said it perfectly. And I believe this has all started because of the hate for Trump. I seen someone in my messages saying, "Why are you so MAGA? Why are you so for Trump?" And all of these things are happening. I said, because this is what he ran on. This is what was voted for. And I said, since day one of him getting into office, he's had major pushback on any and everything, not even just immigration. He's had pushback on any and everything. So, in my thought process is you never gave him a chance to either correct himself, mess up, or even do something right. Everything he does is essentially bad in a lot of people's eyes. And I'm here to say that when Biden was in office, when Obama was in office, I gave them the opportunity because I did vote for Obama. I did. And so my thing is, I gave them the opportunity with my vote, right? And that's all that you really can do. Give them the opportunity. Whether they do something that you like or dislike, give them the opportunity. Give them the opportunity to mess up. Since Trump has gotten in office, the media and other politicians that just don't like him. They haven't given him the opportunity to mess up, the benefit of the doubt. So when I see that, I'm not gonna rush to judgment on his plans and how those plans are executed. You got to remember, 77 million people voted for this, right? It's already, so since he's gotten the office, basically, everybody's been operating in bad faith. Because if he's going to mess up, essentially, he's going to mess up on his own, right? But this force to help him mess up, to make him mess up, to just go all out orange man bad, right? A lot of people can see through that, to be honest with you. I see through that. Because, see, I know how to differentiate and think for myself. Has everything that the Trump administration done been something I liked? No. But there's a lot of things that I voted for that I do like. Everything is not cookie cutter. Everything is not going to be joyous. But I think bashing our law enforcement and things of that nature and not letting these people do their job, as I've stated before, I have family, I have friends, whether they're white, black, Hispanic, that are police officers or law enforcement. And they want to come home too. You know, they say Alex Pretty was a nurse, right? Granted, he shouldn't have lost his life. But why are you putting yourself in this position? I say it again, just like the Renee Nicole Good. Why are you putting yourself there? We can talk about Alex Pretty, right? It's funny that we can talk about the Alex Pretties of the world, but I never see people address Lincoln Riley, right? She was a nurse too. Let's go. Let's keep it going. And let's just read what Obama had to say about all of this. The killing of Alex Pretty is a heartbreaking tragedy, and it should also be a wake-up call for every American, regardless of party, that many of our core values as a nation are increasingly under assault. Federal law enforcement and immigration agents have a tough job, but Americans expect them to carry out their duties in a lawful, accountable way and to work with rather than against state and local officials to ensure public safety. That's not what we're seeing in Minnesota. In fact, we're seeing the opposite. And I'm not even finna go further because this rhetoric that he's spilling is a slap in the face. We're not going to forget that this is the original deporter in chief, right? About what, 60 plus people died on his watch? He deported 3 million. But y'all up in arms about what President Trump and his administration is doing, right? The hypocrisy, right? So, but I do agree with the first two paragraphs. And it's clear that the federal government is not getting much help from local and state, right? We hear time and time Mayor Frey and Governor Tim Walz, we hear numerous of times that they're not going to allow their police officers to assist in ICE arrests. Every video that we've seen thus far, I might add, when it comes to the protesting or individuals impeding ICE, and these situations are happening with the Renee Goods of the world or the Alex Pretties of the world, where is local law enforcement? Nowhere to be found, correct? And so my argument is essentially what Barack Obama is saying right here. Like, how can you hold them accountable? How can you hold ICE accountable if the state and local law enforcement is not helping? I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all will go around the world and say this, say that, but no, if they're not assisting, if they're not being a buffer between protesting and keeping eyes on ICE, making sure they're doing the right thing as well, how can you keep anybody accountable? How can you keep ICE accountable? How can you keep protesters accountable if there's no buffer in the middle? Right? So I think that Obama right here is trying to play both sides. In my opinion, he's been awfully too quiet, because rightfully so, he is the deporter in chief that we know, right? And so I think he's been waiting for a moment. And I think they're gearing up for the midterms. This is all this is. This is all this is, in my opinion. Gearing up to help the Democrats in the midterms. And the reason why I state that is because I look at it like this. We see a lot of celebrities, right? A lot of celebrities speaking out about anything about Trump. Every few weeks, regardless of what it may be, we see posts on Instagram or on X or wherever they may be, and we hear them voicing their opinion about Trump and his administration, right? And I've come to think about this as I keep wondering, why does these celebrities keep fighting for something that they don't actually believe in themselves? Because if they truly believed in these things that they're saying against President Trump and his administration, why don't you see them on the front lines? Along with these politicians as well. What politician have you seen, honestly, other than Ilhan Omar, which she lives there, walking in the snow in Minneapolis, in Minnesota? What politician? These politicians that are, condemning everything that ICE does, everything that Trump does, where are they? Why are they not on ground zero, right? And I say the same thing about these these celebrities, you know. And I'm a Stephen King fan. I seen something that Stephen King said. I seen something that what Billie Eilish said or whatever her name is. Like I've seen multiple celebrities come out and voice their opinion about any and everything, whether it's ICE, whether it's about Trump, but you never see them at ground zero, right? So do they really believe, or that's just to get the public's perception geared up going, right? You don't see them standing out there. And so ultimately, I believe they're using these situations, these tragic situations, as a ploy in making it political, because we've yet to see them touch ground. We've yet until today to see President Obama say something. Right? In my opinion, I think ultimately people have to realize that it rains on the just and the unjust. And not allowing President Trump and his administration, not allowing him to mess up, has opened a lot of people's eyes not to believe anything that you say. This doesn't take away from the fraud that's happening in Minnesota. Like, this is what they ultimately want us to forget about the billions and billions of dollars of fraud that has happened. And I hope the Trump administration, I hope journalists like Nick Shirley continue to question, continue to go after what's actually going on in Minneapolis. I believe, Trump did say today that he will back out of, out of Minnesota, and so this is what Trump had to say, that it is that is why I'm hereby calling Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and every Democratic governor and mayor in the United States of America to formally cooperate with the Trump administration to enforce our nation's laws, because these laws are on the books. ICE is not just out there just to be out there, right? These are on the books. If you want these laws changed, change them during the midterms. Change them during the elections, right? So, they are on the books. But, okay. Rather than resist and stoke the flames of division, chaos, and violence, which that's all I think this is. Trying to stir the pot. Rather than get down to the real solutions, like Minnesota fraud. But I digress. And so, not going to read everything, but you can check it out for yourselves on Truth Social. But the bottom line is, I think people need to wake up and call it for what it is. It's no way around this. The federal government has to work with the state, right? So the state should work with the federal government. So why is that so hard? And I think the only reason why it's so hard for them is because it's Trump. Any other president that would do this, y'all would be, okay. It wouldn't be nothing said, but because it's Trump. And the reason why I say that, because they didn't give him the benefit of the doubt when he came into office for his second term. He's had opposition since he got back into office. This is going to continue. I believe Trump should get out of Minnesota for its ICE, but still stay there with and investigate the fraud. But it's just going to be something else after that, right? If he removes ICE and he starts going after the fraud, I believe they're going to try to find something else. Try to find something else in Minnesota to fight against. But that's just my opinion. So, hey, y'all, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Remember to hit that thumbs up, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more exclusive reviews from me. It's your boy Mercy. I'm out.